Well, the British royals have posed for a new formal photograph. Of course, your eye is drawn to the Duchess of Cambridge, Kate Middleton, as it always is, because you just can't help but notice her. But you notice there, she's the only splash of color in this picture. But take a close look at her tiara.
A shocking palace clash erupts when Queen Camilla forces Catherine to hand over her royal tiara, triggering a private showdown inside Buckingham Palace and leaving Prince William furious. What unfolded behind closed doors exposes a power struggle the public was never meant to see. The night Camilla pulled rank. It is a cold November evening inside Buckingham Palace. The lights dim along the private corridor leading toward the royal apartments. Most staff have just left after long meetings about the upcoming Booker Prize reception, which Queen Camilla is scheduled to host at Clarence House, and final plans for King Charles's birthday. The hallway is unusually quiet when Camilla steps directly into Catherine's path. Her tone is calm, controlled, and unmistakably deliberate. "I need the Oriental Circlet for the good of the crown," she says. Kate freezes. The Oriental Circlet is one of the most symbolic tiaras in the royal collection, tied historically to reigning queens and future queens. She had worn it only recently during a state banquet, marking her rise in the institution. Kate explains softly that she has her own engagements planned around the piece. Camilla's eyes narrow. "You're taking too much attention. I am the queen. You should know your place." The words cut deeper than the request itself. Kate realizes this is not about jewelry. It is a statement of hierarchy. Feeling cornered and outmatched in the dark corridor, she replies, "I'll make arrangements." But the moment she walks away, she knows something has shifted. The palace air feels heavier, and the old boundaries no longer feel safe. What she does not know yet is that Camilla has already prepared a far more aggressive move, one that will unfold the next morning behind locked vault doors. The unsanctioned vault visit. How Camilla's team physically took Kate's tiaras. Early the next morning, the atmosphere in the Buckingham Palace vault is routine until a sudden arrival breaks the calm. Camilla's security officers, along with her senior dresser, enter without scheduling a visit, something that immediately unsettles the vault staff. The chief officer states protocol clearly. Tiaras logged under the Princess of Wales require her approval before release, but the response is delivered without hesitation. Her Majesty has made it clear, the crown's needs come first. With that line, protocol is pushed aside. The staff watch as 3 of Catherine's most important pieces are ordered out: the Oriental Circlet, Queen Mary's Lover's Knot, and the Lotus Flower. Each tiara is carefully lifted from its case, logged under Camilla's authority, and sealed for transport. The mood grows tense. Staff share quiet glances, knowing this is not a standard request. These pieces are deeply tied to Catherine's public image and the future queen's role. The vault officer insists again that Catherine normally must sign off, but Camilla's team repeats their instructions. There is no room for debate. The officer later confides to a colleague that it feels like a forced extraction, not a routine collection of royal jewels. As the elevator doors close on the cases, palace staff whisper among themselves. They understand what has just happened. This wasn't a loan. It was a power move, executed through authority rather than agreement. The moment the tiaras leave the vault, the balance inside the palace quietly shifts. Catherine will learn what happened hours later, and the emotional impact will cut deeper than the vault staff imagined. Kate finds out. Emotional impact and the secret of the Lotus Flower loan. By late afternoon at Buckingham Palace, Catherine finally receives news that something is wrong. The long-serving vault chief, John Harrington, enters her private sitting room with visible hesitation. He quietly explains that 3 tiaras, the Oriental Circlet, Lover's Knot, and Lotus Flower, were removed without her consent. Kate listens in complete stillness. When he finishes, she simply says, "Thank you for telling me. You did the right thing." Her calm voice hides the shock tightening in her chest. An hour later, her senior aide, Lady Eleanor Whitmore, brings even more troubling information. Wardrobe staff report that the Lotus Flower isn't being prepared for Camilla at all, but for Lola Parker Bowles, the Queen's granddaughter, to wear at a private social event. No state duty, no royal purpose, nothing official. Kate's expression changes. "That crosses the line," she says softly. She understands instantly what this means. Royal tiaras, especially heirloom pieces tied to the monarchy, are never lent out for casual personal use, certainly not to non-working relatives. What happened wasn't necessity, it was a statement. And the symbolism behind the 3 tiaras makes the statement even sharper. Symbolism of the 3 tiaras. Why this felt like erasing Kate. Each tiara taken from Catherine carries a history deeper than decoration. The Oriental circlet, tied to Queen Victoria, is reserved for queens and future queens. When Kate wore it at Windsor, it quietly signaled her path toward her future role. Losing it now feels intentional. As she tells a close aide, that wasn't about jewelry, that was about position. The lover's knot, created for Queen Mary and loved by Princess Diana, has become one of Kate's strongest visual links to William's mother. It speaks of continuity, stability, and public affection. Seeing it taken without a word feels like an attempt to pull that thread away. And the lotus flower, which she revived early in her royal life, represents her growth inside the family. Learning it was being prepped for a non-royal teenager makes the gesture sting even more. For Kate, the removal of all 3 pieces at once feels coordinated, a stripping away of her authority, heritage, and symbolic connection to the monarchy. With those meanings in mind, Catherine decides she cannot stay silent. The confrontation with Camilla becomes unavoidable.
Second confrontation. Kate challenges Camilla in her private office.
Catherine walks into Queen Camilla's private office at Buckingham Palace, where the Queen is surrounded by her dresser, her designer, and senior aides reviewing outfits for the Booker reception and the King's birthday events. Kate keeps her voice steady as she asks why 3 tiaras, the Oriental circlet, lover's knot, and lotus flower, were taken after she had already agreed to make arrangements for one. Camilla looks up, unfazed, and says, "I took what was needed." The room falls silent. Kate presses gently, pointing out that protocol was ignored and that removing 3 pieces was unnecessary. Camilla's reply is sharper, directed not just at Kate but at the room itself.
You were behaving as if you were already queen. I am the queen. I don't ask, I decide.
Kate feels the humiliation unfold in real time. The staff present witness a shift in tone. This is no private misunderstanding. When Kate calmly asks why multiple tiaras were taken, Camilla delivers the most telling line. "I took them because I could." Kate leaves the office with dignity, but the message is unmistakable.
That night, the emotional weight of the confrontation begins to settle in.
The emotional fallout, Kate alone, the children notice, and William's delayed return. That evening at Windsor, Catherine has dinner alone with Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis. She smiles for them, speaks softly, and keeps the routine normal. But the children sense something is wrong. George asks if she's upset. Kate answers gently, "I just miss Papa tonight." Inside, the weight of the vault incident, the office humiliation, and the lotus flower loan presses hard. She calls Prince William, hoping he may return early from his official commitments. For a moment, she lets herself believe it, but William explains he cannot change plans. Kate pauses, then whispers, "I just needed you home." When she ends the call, the sense of isolation sharpens. Staff in the residence notice her quietness. The longer she sits with the events of the past 2 days, the more they feel coordinated, part of a pattern shaping the new Charles-Camilla court, one that leaves her standing alone. She knows the situation can't remain unspoken once William returns. And when he does return, Catherine finally tells him everything. William returns, the private confession that makes him furious but controlled. When Prince William finally returns to Buckingham Palace, the children run to him first. Later, in the quiet of their private quarters, he notices immediately that Catherine is holding something heavy inside her. He asks gently, "Tell me what happened." Kate explains everything: the corridor confrontation with Queen Camilla, the vault raid, the removal of the Oriental circlet, the lover's knot, and the lotus flower, and the humiliation in Camilla's office. But what shakes William most is the detail about the lotus flower being prepped for Lola Parker Bowles for a private, non-royal event. Kate speaks honestly about what each tiara means: Diana's legacy through the lover's knot, her future queen symbolism in the Oriental circlet, and the personal journey tied to the lotus flower. She finishes quietly. It felt like she was trying to erase me. William listens without interrupting. His calm face tightens, and the anger beneath it is unmistakable. He responds with a single decision. This doesn't stay between us. We go to my father. The next morning, they enter the king's study without waiting for permission. Taking it to the king, William and Kate confront Charles about Camilla's power play. The next morning, Prince William and Catherine move with purpose through the quiet corridors of Buckingham Palace. They do not wait for an invitation or a scheduled audience. Their direct walk into King Charles's private study sends a clear signal to every staff member who sees them pass. Something serious has happened. Charles looks up, surprised to see them together so early. Kate begins with calm precision. She outlines the chain of events: the corridor confrontation, the unsanctioned vault visit, the removal of the Oriental circlet, lover's knot, and lotus flower without her approval, and the shocking fact that one was being prepared for private use by a non-royal family member. She finishes with a steady warning: this cannot happen inside the institution. William follows, his voice firm but measured. He explains that this was not just a misunderstanding. It was a direct breach of respect toward the Princess of Wales, the woman who will one day be queen. He reminds his father that these tiaras carry history, lineage, and symbolism.
They are part of the structure that keeps the monarchy stable, he says.
Charles listens without interrupting, weighing every word. The gravity of the issue settles over the room. He finally acknowledges the truth. This should not have happened. He agrees that lending a royal tiara for private, non-official use is highly inappropriate, a statement that confirms Kate's concerns.
At that moment, the matter becomes larger than emotions or personal disagreements. It becomes a question of royal authority, protocol, and the balance of power within the household.
And then Charles makes a decision that changes the tone completely. He summons Queen Camilla into the room. The showdown. Charles summons Camilla and imposes a quiet but public penalty. Inside the king's study at Buckingham Palace, the mood changes the moment Queen Camilla is summoned. She walks in expecting a routine discussion, but instead finds King Charles, Prince William, and Catherine already seated, waiting in complete silence. The tension is unmistakable. Charles does not soften his tone. He asks plainly why the Oriental circlet, Queen Mary's lover's knot, and the lotus flower, all under Catherine's authority, were taken without permission. Camilla answers quickly, trying to reframe the incident as duty. The jewels belong to the crown. Protocol must bend when necessary, she says, with an edge that suggests Catherine overstepped by objecting. William leans forward, controlled but unshakably firm. He states that bypassing the Princess of Wales undermines both her role and the structure of the monarchy itself. Catherine adds in a steady voice, "This was not duty, it was dismissal." Charles listens longer than anyone expected. Then, with quiet finality, he delivers his ruling. All 3 tiaras are to be returned immediately, logged under Catherine once again. He also instructs that Camilla will attend the upcoming Booker reception and the king's birthday celebrations without a tiara, a visible message to those who understand palace codes. Camilla's expression tightens. The shock of public correction from the king is rare. Still, she nods and accepts his decision. The air in the room shifts. William and Kate leave knowing a clear line has been redrawn. In the days that follow, subtle changes ripple through the palace. Staff behavior, scheduling choices, even whispers among senior aides. Everyone understands that this moment has reset the balance of authority inside the royal household.
Aftermath and message. William's line in the sand, and Kate's restored authority.
Within hours, staff confirm internally that the Oriental circlet, lover's knot, and lotus flower have been returned to the Buckingham vault, this time under stricter access procedures. Every removal now requires dual verification, and Catherine's sign-off becomes mandatory. She does not protest, argue, or make announcements. She simply resumes control, and the palace quietly takes note. To the inner circle, it is clear that Prince William has drawn a firm boundary, one that protects his wife's authority, dignity, and future position. Over the next weeks, the atmosphere subtly shifts. Catherine keeps to her duties without altering her tone or schedule, but people observe that staff treat her with renewed attentiveness. During an important state banquet at Windsor, Catherine enters wearing the Oriental circlet once again. The cameras erupt in flashes as she walks beside William. Commentators describe her as composed, certain, and visibly assured. William's quick glance toward her, steady, proud, speaks louder than any public statement. Meanwhile, Queen Camilla attends several major November engagements without a tiara, appearing instead in understated necklace and earring sets. Newspapers frame it as a modern look, but palace insiders recognize the quiet penalty. This is King Charles's subtle way of restoring balance without creating public drama. In private corridors, one senior aide sums up the moment in a single line. Some crowns aren't taken, they're earned. And with that, the message becomes unmistakable. Catherine's authority has not only been restored, it has been solidified, openly supported by the future king and quietly reinforced by the reigning one. Her place within the monarchy is now clearer, stronger, and no longer open for challenge. As the dust settles, one truth remains. Camilla may have forced the tiara from Kate's hands, but the fallout only strengthened William's resolve and Catherine's standing. The palace may hide its storms, but this one reshaped the balance of power. The question now is what comes next behind those closed doors. Subscribe for more royal investigations, sharp breakdowns, and hidden palace stories they never want you to hear. Don't miss what unfolds next.